Hi, my name is Deb Johnston, and welcome to Women Reinventing Midlife TV, where we aim to inspire women over 50 to thrive in a meaningful life that you deeply desire and deserve. Here you're going to find real life stories from women over 50 to inspire you to reinvent any aspect of your life, together with content and tips around mindset, wellness, and style to guide you to build confidence and vitality in your 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. And today I have a fabulous interview to share with you with the gorgeous Dr. Barbie Taylor, who you might also know as Menopause Taylor from her popular YouTube channel. Barbie is a retired gynecologist and obstetrician who fills a void in awareness with a vast array of educational support systems to support women before, during, and after their menopausal transition. She's also the author of Menopause, Your Management, Your Way, and she delivers her education through her YouTube channel, Menopause Taylor, and through radio. And today, Barbie's going to be sharing her own transitional story with you, which is really, really interesting, about how she moved out of obstetrics and gynecology into the work that she does with menopause right now, the educational work. She's also going to be explaining what menopause is and how it doesn't actually end when our periods stop. It's an ongoing journey, so we really need to be aware of that. She shares how you can receive important information that can dispel some of the myths and misinformation that we receive around menopause, and also how we need to manage our menopause uniquely for ourselves to help us stay healthy and thriving, and also to avoid some of the serious illnesses that affect women in this phase of life. It is a really interesting, informative, and fun conversation, as it always is with Barbie. So let's go over and have a look. Hi, and welcome to the Women Reinventing Midlife Summit. My name is Deb Johnston, and like you, I'm in the second half of my life. I've been through 2 midlife transitions now, and that's why I want to show you how you can find vitality, purpose, and clarity to thrive after the kids leave home. Today, I'm excited to introduce to you Dr. Barbie Taylor, who's also known as Menopause Taylor. Now, Barbie's a retired obstetrician and gynecologist who fills a void in awareness with a vast array of educational support services to help women manage their menopause before, during, and after their transition. She's also the published author of Menopause, Your Management, Your Way, and she delivers education through her YouTube channel and radio. Barbie, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you've been able to join us. And, you know, I love the way that you deliver education, because it's always so light-hearted and it's always fun, and I just love the way you do it in such a playful way, and because some women, you know, have a really hard time through this transition, don't they?
Yes.
And I know we're going to talk about menopause. First of all, I'd love it if you'd share with our audience just a little bit about why you moved out of obstetrics and gynecology and you moved into what you're doing now.
Well, obstetrics and gynecology was my dream life. It's what I always wanted, and it was very successful, and I loved every second of it. But in 2001, I was diagnosed with a very severe form of osteoarthritis with an autoimmune component. And my prognosis was that I would be an invalid in a wheelchair. And it really interfered greatly with my ability to perform all the duties that I had to perform as a gynecologic surgeon and obstetrician, all the things that we do, and the lifestyle of many, many hours and hard work. And so I ended up having to retire because of the arthritis. And I loved what I was doing. And I was so used to having this huge, massive OB-GYN practice in the largest medical center in the world. And I've always loved what I did. And I mean, I had the dream life. I had everything I wanted. And this arthritis kind of disrupted all that. And so I decided I was going to live in all these different countries, and I started moving around the world and staying in each place at least a year. But I had to have a project. I had to be busy. I had to be working on something. And in the years that I practiced obstetrics and gynecology, I realized that menopause was this huge neglected part of life, literally life. It's the most neglected topic on our entire planet, even though half of the world's population spends half of their lives there. And I didn't know a single person in all the years I practiced OB-GYN who practiced menopause medicine or who had a menopause clinic or who focused on it. Nobody loved menopause. Nobody. Yeah. People loved infertility, obstetrics, gynecologic surgery, all kinds of things, but nobody loved menopause. And it just kind of bothered me that here we are, the world's largest part of the population. We're the fastest growing sector of society. And I thought, well, golly, there's this ignorance of this whole thing called menopause. So I thought, well, I had no idea where my health would lead me or what would happen, but I started working on writing my book. And I didn't really set out to write a book. I just needed to be busy. So I started writing about menopause. And before I knew it, I had this, 600-page book, because that's how I am. I'm a worker bee. And then I kind of started working on other things, and I created a slide chart with, things about narrowing down options for various disease risks. And then I developed a 2-day seminar. And I just kind of dabbled, and I kept working on this menopause project along with, learning languages and moving to countries and all these other things I was doing, but it never left me. And I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. And the big impediment was always the fact that the seminar is 2 whole days, like 2 7-hour days. I am the delivery system for the whole thing, which meant I had to stand there for 2 solid days and be the show, which I loved, but my body didn't. Yeah. And it was brutal from arthritis. So I just kept doing things. And then when I was living in Cape Town, South Africa in the year 2016, it was January, I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends in the US who has a YouTube channel. And I said, oh, I love moving around. I love doing all these things, but my passion is really the menopause stuff. And I really want to do that. And my body just can't take it. And she starts going, oh my God, oh my God. And I said, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she says, Barbie, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm like, what? And she says, you need a YouTube channel. And I said, what's YouTube? Because I am not a technologically gifted or savvy person, and I don't keep up with anything like that. She says, Barbie, imagine being in your own living room in front of a camera and delivering your education, and women can see it all over the world. And I said, oh, I can do that. And she says, okay, you just start making the lessons and making the plans, and when we get off this phone call, I'll send you an email and you can hook up with the company that will take care of everything, and they will develop your business with you and help you start the whole bit. I said, oh, okay. So I'm really a dutiful student type, so I start making these lessons. So I start working with this company. They do my website. And then in June 2016, I had my first YouTube video come out, and I was living in Buenos Aires, Argentina at the time. And so that's how this all began. And that led to a woman asking me to do a radio interview. I did a radio interview. She said, oh, you need a radio show. So that turned into multiple radio shows. And then, everything just started happening, and I started doing consultations. And so this has just turned into this business. Amazing. And, the thing about my business is that it's all education. I don't have a product. I don't have an angle. I don't have any way to coerce you. I don't have anything to encourage you to do in terms of how you manage your menopause. I just want you to know all the facts. I want you to know all the benefits and risks, the pros and the cons, the limitations and capabilities of each and every option. What you choose to do is entirely up to you. And the whole point is, most women have no education at all, because believe it or not, even though we spend half of our lives in the state of menopause, and this is half the population spending half their lives in the state of menopause, I am the first and the only person on our planet to ever deliver an education on menopause to women, which is horrible, but that's the truth. That is the state of affairs. And most women don't know what menopause is when it hits them over the head like a ton of bricks and ruins their marriage and their lives and their job and they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, it produces like 22 symptoms to get your attention that something is wrong. And if you don't do anything about replacing the hormone deficiency, it turns into diseases just like every other hormone deficiency on our planet. And yet women don't know that. They don't realize that. They think, oh, it's a few hot flashes and then you go back to your life being totally normal. Well, nothing could be farther from the truth. You wouldn't hear a diabetic say, well, I'm going to have a few symptoms and then I'll be fine. Okay. Hormone deficiencies don't work that way. Okay, they all have these symptoms to get your attention. And then if you don't do something about it, they turn into diseases that are fatal, every single one of them.
Yeah.
And menopause is no different. It's estrogen deficiency. And there are fatal diseases. And so I just teach. I want you to know the whole story. I want you to know what's going on. You can do whatever you want to manage your menopause. I just want you to do it with facts, not misinformation or fear.
That's amazing. So tell us what happens to the hormones. Tell us what happens to the hormones when we hit menopause.
Well, you know how you should think of menopause is you should think of menopause as puberty in reverse.
Yeah.
Think about it. You're a little kid and then puberty hits. What happens at puberty? Your body floods with the hormones that are our reproductive hormones. For women, primarily it's estrogen. That's our hormone. We are like, I always use the three bears, like Goldilocks and the three bears when I talk about hormones. And I say, you know how each of the bears had his own bed, chair, and porridge? That's how these hormones are. They all belong to only one bear. So we are mama bear. Our hormone is estrogen. We happen to have another hormone called progesterone, but it's only for one purpose. It's so that we can support a pregnancy. So progesterone really belongs to the baby. And the only reason we produce it is to support baby bear through the pregnancy. Papa bear's hormone is testosterone. That's the male hormone. So each bear has his own hormone. So women's hormone is estrogen. So estrogen is the primary hormone that floods your body at puberty. And then you walk around for like 40 years with estrogen primarily and progesterone acting on your body, bathing every cell of your body, shaping everything that you do and behave, the way you think, everything. It's who you are. It's your fountain of youth. And then menopause comes along and you lose all those reproductive hormones. So puberty is when they came into your body. Menopause is when they leave your body. It's really puberty in reverse. So we're like a bunch of geriatric teenagers when it comes to menopause, okay? But the problem is everyone talks about puberty and knows what's going on and is sensitive and kind and patient, but they don't do the same for menopause. And women themselves don't know what's going on. And so when they start acting funny and feeling funny and having all these symptoms and being unable to think and unable to work and unable to sleep and their vaginas are on fire, everyone thinks something's wrong with them. What's wrong with you? Well, it's puberty in reverse. That's what society needs to understand. And society needs to understand what they're going through and give them the same degree of sensitivity and patience and understanding that they do for the teenagers. Right?
Yeah.
It should be the same. It's like we have all this understanding of pregnancy and motherhood and all kinds of things. We shouldn't have people completely clueless about menopause.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. Yeah.
It's terrible. It's a terrible state of affairs, and women deserve so much better. And unfortunately, until women demand more, they're probably not going to get more. And that starts with education. And I have this big dream. I want every woman to get my education in her 20s. Her 20s. Now imagine in your 20s, for like the 10 years of your 20s, You just watch videos all in order. Everything has to be done in order if you hope to learn anything. Okay. It's like connecting dots and making sense, and everything's logical if you learn it in order, not sound bites, not randomly, not just a little bit here. Okay. Watch them in order. If you did that in your 20s, you would know everything, and your life would be different forever because of it. Can you imagine all women knowing exactly what's going to happen?
Yeah, it would be totally different. There's so many things that you can do to prepare for it, aren't there? But if you don't know it's going to happen,
Exactly. And you don't know when it's going to happen.
That's right.
No one knows when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. But the key is you need to recognize it. And the problem is women don't have a clue. They think it's some hot flashes. Some have them, some don't. But they have no idea that there are 22 symptoms all over in your body, up and down. And they're all running to 22 different doctors thinking they have 22 different problems. They don't have 22 problems. They have one problem. One. Just like if you lost your thyroid hormone, you'd have all kinds of symptoms head to toe. Every hormone deficiency does that.
I know for me, I was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue at the same time as my period stopped. And the first doctor I went to was, I went with anxiety, because the anxiety was up here.
Exactly.
And the doctor tried to give me anti-anxiety medication. Luckily, I said no. And eventually found out what it was. But anxiety.
It's estrogen deficiency. And so many women will tell you things that never bothered them suddenly become such a big deal. That is estrogen deficiency. It is a direct symptom of estrogen deficiency. Get your estrogen right, the anxiety goes away. It's so straightforward. And women are so shocked when they learn this. And then they're even more shocked when they replace their estrogen and they go, oh my God, I got my life back. I'm like, you think? Really? Duh. Okay. It's exactly the same thing you would say if you replaced your insulin or replaced your thyroid hormone. I mean, that's by definition the way hormone deficiencies work.
Yeah.
Now you don't, not everyone wants to take estrogen. There's a lot of fear associated with estrogen. It's not logical, it's irrational, and it's not based on fact, but you get to do whatever you want to do. The key is to know the consequences of choosing one thing over another. You need to know what each option on the smorgasbord of options can do, and you need to know what each option cannot do. I only care that you don't look back years from now going, why didn't anybody tell me this wouldn't accomplish my goal? You have to know what your goals are first, and then you have to know how you can accomplish them. And there's many different ways. You just got to know what you can do, what each thing can do, and what each thing cannot do. You know, if you're using vitamins to do something vitamins can't do, it's going to turn out badly.
Yeah.
And that can be said about everything: diet, exercise, herbs, everything on the smorgasbord. So everything has limitations. You just have to know what they are. And see, that's what this education is all about. It's like giving you the facts and letting you use them any way you please. And I'll help you manage your menopause any way you want. But I want you to know what your goals are first. We live in a very product-oriented society. We tend to have advertisements and marketing everywhere. So people have become very focused on products. And so it's not uncommon for women to decide that they think they want to use this product or that product. They form an opinion of what they prefer first before they get the education, and that will always turn out badly. The key is get the education first. From the education, decide what your goals are. What are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And then, only then, do you decide on products. And here's the big clincher. The only opinion that really matters is your body's, not your brain's. And in any contest between your brain and your body's going to win. Either you're going to give your body what it wants and you're going to be a happy person, or you're not going to give your body what it wants and you're going to be miserable. Your body doesn't care what you read or what you heard or what that celebrity said. Your body doesn't care about any of that. And so the education gives you the ability to know where you might want to start. But the big deciding factor is how your body responds, because women are not robots, and there's nothing that we should all be doing. Nothing.
So it's really individual, isn't it? And it's about finding out what works for your own body. Yeah.
You got it. And that's what I do in consultations. In consultations, it's all about tailoring. And so a typical consultation involves registering and choosing your date and time. And then you have a 17-page questionnaire.
Wow.
To fill in and submit to me. I mean, I ask you questions about everything under the sun because I want information about you. And I use that questionnaire to create a document for you. And I literally create a document that is the overall education, the whole thing. And I also tailor it all to you. So I insert all your particulars in red so that you see how you fit into all those facts. And most of these documents are about 90 pages long. And I send the document to each and every woman, her document to her 4 days before her consultation, so she can read it. And that document makes it so that even if you haven't gotten any education at all yet, you're able to have a great consultation because you have the basics, you have the education, you have the foundation, and you have the details about how you fit into that. And I have women who just go, oh my God, just getting the document was worth more than the consultation costs for the whole thing. And that gives you the foundation with which we can use your consultation time any way you want. And it makes sure you realize that you have to know the alphabet before you can read. If you try to have a consultation and you don't know anything, you're going to waste most of your time having me correct all your misinformation. And you're not really going to get anywhere. So what I try to do with document is I dispel all that stuff. I make sure you have all the facts and you understand how everything fits your picture. And then we go from there with the consultations. And women just love them. I mean, it's a life-changing event, literally life-changing, because
I can imagine. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a mind-boggling thing, and it's a whole lot of information. But I always tell the women, I say, I've given you a new problem. And the new problem is that with a consultation, you know 90% more than most doctors. It's guaranteed.
That's
guaranteed. Guaranteed. And they all can tell right away. They're like, oh my God, I can see. And a lot of them have already burned bridges and failed and not gotten what they wanted and heard all kinds of misinformation from professionals. So a lot of them have already experienced a lot of failures when they come to me, and then they see why. And then they're like, oh my God, it changes everything. Suddenly they're in the driver's seat.
Yeah, it's really quite challenging to find a doctor that really understands this. I know. Exactly. I mean, look at what happened in my case. I was prescribed. She wanted to prescribe me anti-anxiety medication. I mean, what was that going to do?
Well, I explain why this is the case, and that's part of the education is understanding why the world of menopause is so screwed up. And it's partly because of lack of information. It's partly because of fear on the part of the public. And it's partly because of the reaction to the public sphere by professionals who are worried about litigation. You know, fear is the most powerful emotion on earth. And the minute fear is involved, brains are paralyzed and nothing is logical anymore. You know, you've seen that with COVID. There's no logic because of the fear. Anytime there's fear, it makes things kind of twisted and screwed up and messed up. And you can't apply logic to an illogical world. And so I teach you how to navigate the system and what to do and what not to do and what to say and what not to say. I make it so that you know how to get whatever you want without burning bridges. So it's like a big toolkit. It's like a big toolkit of how to succeed.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Yeah, because it is really quite challenging to find a doctor that knows this stuff. I know. For me, I had an amazing doctor, and she's just resigned from practice, and it's and now I'm online trying to find a doctor in Australia. Oh my gosh, it's so difficult.
It's not easy. And I teach you how to find a doctor too. In a consultation, I teach you exactly how to go about finding a doctor for you, who is going to do for you what you want for your menopause. That's not, you don't find a doctor by saying to someone else, Do you have a recommendation? That is not going to get you what you want, because
Yeah.
you have to know what you want in order to find a doctor who's going to give you what you want.
Yeah.
Asking your friend who to go to isn't that, no one's going to be able to tell you who to go to. So I teach you this. I teach you exactly what questions to ask and exactly how to, quote, interview your doctors so that you know how they practice menopause medicine, because that's what it's about. And it's all about getting what you want for managing your menopause your way.
Yeah, I love it.
Not someone else's way.
Yeah, I love it. Really individualized, and it really needs to be that way. Yeah. And yeah, because we all experience different symptoms too. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
we don't all experience it in the same way. Yeah, some women say they experience no symptoms, and yet others have the whole smorgasbord of symptoms.
And you know what's funny? The women who don't have symptoms tend to very arrogantly think that they are lucky.
Yeah.
They are not. And here's why. Because they have no symptoms to tell them something's missing, they are the ones who tend to get the 3 fatal diseases, heart attack, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's the most, because they have nothing along the way to make them go find help of any kind. So they don't look for the education. They just think they're fine. So they don't get this education. They just think that they, you know, and unfortunately, they are the ones who end up with the most bone loss, the most fractures, the most heart attacks, the most Alzheimer's, because they never realize there's more to it than just the hot flashes.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I've actually just been diagnosed with the early stages of osteoporosis, and that's a really good point, because once I had that diagnosis, I started reading about it, and I think, oh my God, that's the lack of estrogen. Yeah.
It's lack of estrogen. And see, what most people think, because of all the misinformation floating around, is they think that calcium can prevent osteoporosis. And I teach you, no, estrogen is about bone quantity. Calcium is about bone quality.
Yeah.
It's like flossing your teeth versus brushing your teeth. They do 2 different things. And estrogen contributes to osteoporosis by more than 70%, whereas calcium is less than 30%. So with all these women running around thinking all they have to do is take their calcium, they are losing bone like crazy. And they are ending up with osteoporosis, and they are ending up with fractures, and they are saying, how did this happen to me? And it's like, you had your information wrong. That's how. This is happening everywhere with absolutely every single thing, that, you know, you don't know what you don't know. And if all you know is what you've heard in sound bites, you are in big trouble. I make sure that I know everything else that's out there. I read all the horrible, misinformed books on everything having to do with menopause. All the books written by all the people who shouldn't be writing books because they aren't menopause experts. I read them all because I want to know what you're exposed to. I want to know what misinformation you're getting, because with my education, I make sure that I bring up all of those issues and I dispel those things along the way. And that's why I'm like, watch my videos in order, do everything in order, because I make sure I correct all your misinformation. You don't know it's misinformation. If you just try to watch my videos randomly or get this education randomly, what you'll do is you'll take your misinformation and try to marry it with the facts I give you, and you'll make a huge mess out of it.
Yeah.
It's even worse than if you just didn't know anything, because then you're trying to make sense out of stuff that is completely wrong, and you're trying to fit it into the stuff that is, it's a disaster. It's a complete sabotage of the education.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I know for me, I actually had my calcium levels tested, and they're fine. They're normal.
I know.
Yeah, nothing wrong with my calcium at all.
Oh, of course there's nothing wrong with your calcium. What's wrong is you went for some time without estrogen and you lost bone. And it's rapid. And women are shocked. And every single woman is a sitting duck, because no one's teaching you that it's a completely silent disease. You will have no idea you're losing bone until you fracture your spine and your hip. Right. You know, you're going along with life thinking that you're doing everything right and everything's fine. All the while your bones are going from this to this.
Wow.
And there's no sign, there's no symptoms, there's nothing to let you know that's happening. And women are clueless. It's horrible. And you know, I just want you to know how everything works. And I make sure you know how the system works too, so that you understand what do the guidelines accomplish and what do they not accomplish. Things like that, where women just think, oh, it's a guideline, it's going to be fine. Well, it's not designed for you. It's always about the whole population and money. You don't care about that. You care about you. Okay. This is all part of the education. If you want to succeed, you got to understand that the system is not in place for you to succeed. Okay. And so I make sure you know every in and out. And I just love knowing that, well, you know, I mean, I know I'm saving lives right and left. And women who get this education realize it too. And then they want everyone to get this education. But guess what? I picked the most unpopular topic on earth. So it's a hard sell. You know, I always say to the women, if you tell all your friends and family and everyone, all the women you know about this education, I guarantee 90% of them are going to reject it.
Ooh.
Because women are in denial. They don't want to believe that this is the reality. And they don't know, no one's ever taught them anything before. So they don't have any knowledge, they have no reason to think that this is necessary. But when they do start getting the education, they're like, holy cow, I had no, and then they binge. They cannot help themselves. I have women say, I couldn't get anything done for 3 weeks straight. I was binging non-stop because for the first time in their lives, they understand everything. And it's because the way I teach is I use the familiar to explain the unfamiliar. So like when I'm teaching anatomy, when I'm teaching you about the anatomy of your reproductive tract, I'll say, your cervix is just like a bagel. It's nothing but a door to your uterus, and the hole is the door. And so, you know, you have seen bagels that have the open hole and the closed hole. That's like what your cervix does its whole life. It just goes open, close, open, close. It's like a bagel. Well, women are like, God, I'll never look at a bagel the same way again. But they'll never forget what their cervix is either. And see, that's the key. It's like they're laughing, but they're never going to forget that. And they're never going to confuse their cervix with their uterus. They've heard these words before, but they never really had an idea of what but this is how I teach. And I do that with everything. I mean, you know, I use avocados for your uterus. Okay. It's like, I mean, I use all these things that are like, they're funny and they're fun and they're easy to understand. And that mental picture it's unforgettable. And so I try to do that with everything. So I have a very playful, fun, I think you should be laughing and learning.
Yeah.
And I want everyone to understand, no matter what your educational level, what your timeline, how good you are in English. I have women all over the world who speak English as second, third, and fourth languages, and they understand, they get it. They're just like, they're always writing me, I understand you so well. I'm like, yay, because that's the key. They all deserve the education.
Yeah, it is true. It's that those visual aids and making it fun, making it playful. But we always remember things that we laugh about, don't we?
I know it.
Yeah, we always do.
We all do.
Yeah, it's true. I've watched a number of Barbie's videos and they are always so informative, so educational. They're like light bulbs going off all the time. So many. And also just, you know, they're fun. You can't help but laugh.
Well, I love it.
Oh, brilliant. Barbie, thank you so much for today.
You're so welcome. And thank you so much for letting me blab on about my passion.
You can see that you're passionate about it, but it's a topic that really interests me too. I love hearing about it. I love learning about it. So thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. You'll find lots and lots of educational videos from Barbie on her YouTube channel, Menopause Taylor. I will include the live link to Barbie's YouTube channel in the description notes underneath this video, so you can access directly from there. And if you'd like to connect with her or gain access to the gathering of other awesome resources that she has on her website, I'll also include the live link to Barbie's website in the description notes too. If you found this video helpful, remember to give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends, because we can all benefit from knowing more about menopause and this transitional phase of life. It's so important. To receive more interviews like these or more content and tips around mindset, wellness, and style, remember to subscribe to my channel and click the bell for notifications so you don't miss out. Lots of love to you, and I look forward to connecting next time. Bye-bye.